was 12 years old, we had a local farmer that came and asked if I would be willing, and my older brother, if we would be willing to go and help him on his small farm. And we agreed to do that. And so my very first job, the very first thing that he wanted us to do is go out into a field and pick up all of the rocks that were in that field. So where he had plowed the field, any rocks that got turned up, he wanted to get those rocks out of the field. And so my first paying job, and by the way, he really paid me 50 cents an hour. My first paying job was to go out into this field and pick up these rocks and throw them into the back of his pickup truck. And so it just made me wonder, as I was thinking about that very first job that I had picking up rocks, something that I started many years ago, and that is that every time I go to a different state, I try to find a little rock or two or three from that state that might be decorative or look unusual or whatever, and I'll pick it up and I'll throw it into my suitcase and I'll bring it home. And I have a little rock pile there at my house, and I can't tell you how many states that there's representatives of rocks in that rock pile. I don't write on them. I don't label them. It's just a rock pile, but there's rocks there from lots of states. And we just got back from Australia, and so I picked up several rocks while I was in Australia, threw those in my suitcase, and so now I can even say that I have an international rock pile. Well, my name is Richard Coleman, and I'm the pastor at Shepherd Church of the Nazarene in Lexington, South Carolina, and it's great to spend just a few moments with you today. I've been looking at the life of Joshua as he's taken over as the new leader of the Israelites. It's now come time to move into the Promised Land. And so God told him, have the priest pick up the Ark of the Covenant, have them take it across the Jordan, and whenever they get across, just let the people follow them across. And so the priest, whenever they went to step into the Jordan, the waters parted. They were able to go across, and the priest actually stopped in the very middle of the Jordan, and the whole tribe just crossed the Jordan on dry ground. Well, before the priest came out of the Jordan, they were given instructions. God told Joshua, he said, I want you to have one member from each of the tribes. I want you to have 12 men go into the bottom of that river, and I want each of them to pick up a stone and bring it up over on the promised land side. And they did that, and they stacked those up. And God told Joshua, he said, the reason I'm doing that, you've got this pile of rocks here. And when people come and say, why are those 12 stones stacked there? He said, I want you to be able to remind them of this day, whenever my promise was fulfilled, whenever you crossed the Jordan River, not just crossed it, but crossed it on dry ground, and how I have kept my promises to you. Remember and remind future generations how this happened. And whenever I think about that, I can't help but think in my life, all the things that God has done and the ways that God has directed my life. And I see the miracles. Sometimes I think I fail to say that they're miracles, but things that come up in my life, and I'm thinking, how in the world am I going to get through this situation? How in the world am I going to make this happen? How will this relationship ever get repaired? And all of the different things, and it just looked like huge mountains, and all I can do is say, God, I don't know what to do, and I'm doing my very best to do my part, but it doesn't seem to be enough. And so, God, I'm going to have to give it to you. And I found that whenever I do that in my life, that God is able to take care of things in ways that I really never even imagined that they could be taken care of. But to be able to give God those moments. And now, what I realize as I'm older, whenever issues come up in my life, and they still do, that I have so many things that I can look back at and recognize how God has brought me through all of these things. And realizing that He has brought me through so many things, it allows my faith to build, And I can say, you know, if God brought me through that and that and that, and He took care of me here and there, He's going to take care of this, even though I don't see how in the world He's going to be able to do it. You see, God can do that. And whenever we look back at those times and look back at those opportunities, we can recognize that God can keep His promise and will keep His promise. So I think back about the stones of remembrance that Joshua had the people set up there. And those stones reminded the people of what God had done, so therefore they could remember what He could do. And we need to do that in our life. So maybe you're facing a tough time now, or maybe you might be facing one in the days to come. Let your mind go back and think about all the things that God has led you through and helped you with. And let that be an encouragement and a remembrance for you that God is still faithful and that God is with you. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you. May you truly be able to look forward to how God is going to take care of the things in your life this week. Thanks for taking the time and viewing today.